Before we get into today's show, I want to know who was the Titans quarterback when you first became a Titans fan? Whether it was the year you were born, the year maybe you moved to Tennessee. Let me know who the quarterback was in the comments section to start the show. Now, coming up on today's edition of Tennessee Titans Today by Chat Sports, we unfortunately have to go through some Nicholas Petit-Frere replacements because the second-year right tackle was suspended 6 games for violating the NFL's gambling policy, and it's a bonehead mistake to make, and you hate to see it happen, but I'm going to stand by. There are a lot of players who evidently made this mistake, and I wonder if the NFL didn't do a very good job of explaining the rules to its players, despite the league getting in bed with a lot of gambling companies. But that was for yesterday's show. Now let's look at some Nicholas Petit-Frere replacement options because they have to find a new right tackle to fill these shoes, which honestly, when you look at what he did last year, they're not huge shoes to fill. Like, there's some optimism in Nashville that he's going to take a step forward this year, but he was not one of the better tackles in football last year. Just a rookie, but still, 74th overall ranked tackle out of 81 qualifying players, an overall grade of 52.3. So there is a lot of room for improvement, and I wonder if someone steps into this role and does well, there's no going back to NPF. Now, my first replacement option for Tennessee is an in-house replacement option, right? Before you even start looking at free agency or the trade market, what do you have in your own backyard? Now, when you look at Tennessee's offensive line depth chart, right behind Petit-Frere is Jalen Duncan, a rookie out of Maryland, who we will look at. And I also want to toss in another former or younger player, rather, Dillon Radunz, who could be in the mix to start at right tackle, as he's sort of been Tennessee's utility man for the last few seasons, filling holes and filling gaps all across the offensive line. But Jalen Duncan, I think, would be the first guy in line to take over that right tackle spot. He was a 6th-round draft pick coming out of Maryland. I know there are a lot of draft guys out there that had pretty high grades on him. Tremendous size, right? 6'5", nearly 6'6", and 306 pounds. But he ended up falling all the way to round 6 because he was not good last year, to be honest with you guys, right? Much better in 2021 for the Terps when he had a 71.8 overall PFF grade, but last year, 61.6. So a step back definitely concerned some teams of maybe he was just a one-hit wonder in 2021. Now, the other in-house option is Dillon Radunz, who, like I said, has been a plug-and-chug player so far in his Titans career. He's had 77 career snaps at left tackle, 156 snaps at left guard, no snaps at center. That's been Ben Jones' stomping ground so far, and 158 at right guard, and no snaps at right tackle. So right tackle would be a new position for him. I don't think they would move Andre Dillard to right tackle and put Radunz at left tackle. I don't think they're going to do that much of a musical chairs orchestra here. I just don't think Radunz is likely the first candidate to step in at right tackle. I think if they want to wait until training camp rolls around and see what they have in-house, Jalen Duncan is probably going to be the first guy they look at because he is a more natural tackle than Radunz is, and they've experimented with Radunz at tackle, and it just has not worked out. He is a guard. So maybe if they really don't see anything in Duncan, they'll give Radunz a shot, but I'm guessing they want to turn to the 6th-round pick first before looking at a guy that's kind of had his opportunity at tackle and really hasn't played well over there and is much better suited on the interior offensive line when he can get some help from his left and his right. Now, what do you guys think? Should the Titans go external for right tackle? Should they look out, right, to free agency or to the trade market? Yes or no? Are you confident for what Tennessee has growing in their own backyard and in their farm system? Or would you like to see them go test the free agency waters? The second replacement option is indeed free agency. So there are some notable names, and you might recognize the pretty face that's been in Tennessee for his entire NFL career. That is Taylor Lewan. I'm not going to go too in-depth on Lewan. I don't think it's happening. I think Taylor Lewan is probably moved on from the NFL a little bit. Like I said in yesterday's show, he's been doing a lot with Barstool. Now, money talks, and if some team waves a couple commas in front of him that looks like a phone number, he might come back to the NFL, but he looks like someone who's lost some weight, and he's kind of ready for his post-NFL life. But if Tennessee wants to go with the familiar face, they could definitely bring Lewan back. In that case, I think they would probably move Andre Dillard to right tackle and put Lewan back at left tackle. But your new GM, Ran Carthon, made a tough decision to move on. Well, we all saw it coming. But still, he moved on from Taylor Lewan and sent a trash bag to his front door with his locker. I don't think they're going to bring him back. It just seems like, not bridges were burned, but it seems too quick to mend those bridges. Now, another guy we're going to look at later on is a former journeyman player we'll talk about in just a moment. But before we do, make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss a signing, because when it comes to the Tennessee Titans, we are going to do our best to get you guys all of the latest news and rumors and keep you in the loop on YouTube. We're trying to reach 7,500 subscribers by the time the training camp rolls around. So hit that sub button down below. Now, I want to zero in on one former player for the LA Rams, and that is Ty Nsekhe. So he started 8 games, and he played in 10 last season for the LA Rams. He's got 9 years of NFL experience. He's also got some CFL experience, so he knows what it's like to play worse competition. I don't really know where I was going with that, but he does know how to play football in a variety of countries. How about that? 25 career starts under his belt and 103 games played. So no shortage of experience, and if you really are only looking for someone for 6 games, this could be an excellent option. Last year for the Rams, he ranked 33rd out of 81 qualifying tackles, so one of the better tackles in football in the top half. Here are his PFF grades from that season. Overall grade of 70.6. You can kind of equate that to B-, which, hey, you're not finding an A-plus tackle in June, but B- isn't too shabby for the circumstances and how far we are into free agency and close to the league year really getting underway. Better pass blocker than run blocker, 8 penalties and 3 sacks allowed last year. Listen, if you are looking for a veteran to hold down the fort or maybe even keep the job, because it's not like Nicholas Petit-Frere looked like a rising Pro Bowl tackle last year, Ty Nsekhe is a good man for the job, right? I think he would be a very appropriate play here. Eric Fisher's old. George Fant sucked last year. I don't think Taylor Lewan's coming back. Ty Nsekhe is not a household name, but he played well for the Rams last year in a similar spot where he came in kind of on a pinch. He's hopped around the league a little bit. He's got experience at left tackle, right tackle. He can pick up a new system. He is a great option for a 6-week replacement. And hey, he could play very well, and he could be your starting right tackle for the entire season. Now, we're going to get to more on this in just a moment, but the 4th of July is just a few days away, and it's not too late to get your very own Tennessee Titans 4th of July themed t-shirt. So go to chatsports.com/TitansUSA. I've got that link in the comments and the description of today's show. My third replacement option for Tennessee is trade. Now, this one always seems like the most unlikely because trades are not super duper common, but also, are you really trading for someone just to have for 6 weeks? That seems like a bit of overkill. And I say all that in just less than a year ago. Different regime, but you might remember Tennessee made a trade for not an apples-to-apples circumstance here, but they wanted some extra depth at the tackle position, so they acquired Dennis Daly from the Carolina Panthers in a day 3 pick swap. Dennis Daly was, cheeks last year. He was not a good offensive tackle, but we did see Tennessee make a move for an under-the-radar backup swing tackle to come in and fill in for a pinch, and we probably got more of Dennis Daly than Tennessee was hoping for last year, but that is an option for Tennessee if they think there is an offensive lineman on someone else's roster who's probably not a starter because they're not going to pay it that much to get a 6-week replacement, but maybe someone who is sort of lost in the mix. There's two established starters there, and he's kind of sitting on the bench, and his rookie contract is rotting away. So a team offers to take up a day 3 pick swap so they can get some assets back, and Tennessee gets a new starting right tackle for the first 6 weeks of the season. That is it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in, taking time out of your day to come join us here at Titans Today. That is going to do it. So we will sign off, and we will see everyone later.